Am I the a-hole for wanting to uninvite my sister after she planned to steal attention at my wedding reception? I have a sister, Libby, who has always needed to one-up me my entire life. If there is a moment where she isn't the absolute center of attention, she immediately shifts tactics and plays the victim to claw that attention back. She has borderline personality disorder and is bipolar/manic at times. Dealing with her is always a lot, and growing up alongside her meant constantly walking on eggshells, waiting for the next emotional explosion or calculated grievance. For years, I managed the dynamic by keeping her at arm's length, but when major life milestones began approaching, her need to overshadow me kicked into overdrive. Last summer, after dating for 2 consecutive, beautiful years, my partner Max and I got engaged. The proposal was everything I had ever wanted: intimate, genuine, and completely focused on our partnership. We were on an absolute high. We immediately FaceTimed our parents to share the news, watching their faces light up with joy, and then Max texted my family group chat sharing the official news with everyone else so we could celebrate together. Almost instantly, notifications started blowing up my phone. Everyone congratulated us, showering us with love and excitement, except Libby. She didn't send a single celebratory emoji or text of acknowledgement. Instead, a few minutes into the celebratory chain, she abruptly announced to the group chat that she was dating someone new. The shift in tone was jarring, a classic Libby maneuver to hijack the conversation. Sensing the blatant bid for attention, everyone in the family kind of ignored her comment, letting it sit there unanswered until a few days later when the initial excitement of our engagement had settled. By September, the tension had dissipated enough for us to all meet up in town for lunch to meet her new boyfriend, John. I walked into the restaurant hoping for a peaceful meal, wanting to give him a fair chance. John seemed nice enough on the surface, but he was incredibly quiet, barely speaking a word as the waitstaff took our orders. After we had been sitting there for a bit, the conversation naturally turned toward the future, and my older sisters began asking me for specific details about our upcoming wedding. I started to answer, feeling that familiar rush of bridal excitement, when Libby suddenly chimed in, completely cutting me off mid-sentence. "It's okay to wear white, right?" she asked, her voice dripping with artificial innocence. The table went completely silent. I just stared directly at her, letting the awkwardness stretch out for a long moment before I responded. "Sure, if you want to be thrown overboard." We were in the middle of planning a private, intimate ceremony on a boat on the East Coast, so the threat wasn't entirely metaphorical. Libby just laughed it off as if it were a hilarious joke, and then she doubled down, casually suggesting that Max and I could just turn our hard-earned reservations into a double wedding for her and John. No one at the table was laughing. My older sisters sat frozen, their forks suspended in the air, while John just stared at his plate, seemingly not caring about the bizarre spectacle unfolding right in front of him. So many more passive-aggressive comments were made by Libby throughout the rest of the meal that my older sisters actually had to keep interrupting her to ask if she was seriously being this disrespectful. The atmosphere was completely ruined. We finished our lunch pretty quickly, paid the bill, and left. Not long after we parted ways, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Libby, claiming she was so glad that I adored John, even though I hadn't actually gotten to know him at all because he hadn't spoken more than a handful of words. She wrapped up the message by saying how excited they both were about attending the wedding. I was furious. I texted her back immediately, flatly stating that he wasn't invited yet and that I would need to seriously think about it. I followed that up with a long, detailed text recapping every single uncomfortable, boundary-crossing thing she had said during lunch. I needed it in writing. I ended the message with a strict, unyielding ultimatum. If she did a single thing to take the attention away from Max or me during our wedding weekend, she would be completely cut out of our lives forever. She didn't reply, but I felt like I had finally drawn a clear line in the sand. Fast forward to the actual ceremony, and against all odds, the whole day was absolutely perfect. The weather on the East Coast was flawless, the water was calm, and I married my best friend in absolute bliss. Libby and John, whom we did end up inviting because I wanted to take the high road and avoid pre-wedding family warfare, spent the evening trying to mingle with the other guests on the boat. However, their reputation had preceded them. No one would really talk to them because word had gotten out that they had been making incredibly rude, disparaging comments about Max and me leading up to the trip. Realizing they weren't going to get the validation or the stage they wanted, they ended up leaving the celebration early. Max and I barely noticed. We were too busy enjoying our first night as husband and wife. That was May. Now, we are gearing up for the second phase of our celebration, hosting a massive reception for all of our extended family and friends in our home state where we actually live. The party is scheduled for next month. Because I work professionally in the event industry, I am going absolutely all out for this. I've been cashing in every professional favor I owe, hiring top-tier vendors, and spending a significant amount of money because I am ready to really party and celebrate our marriage with everyone who couldn't fit on the boat. I genuinely thought all was good and that the drama was behind us, until a few days ago when I started getting bizarre, hesitant messages from various extended family members. They kept asking me why I had told my sister that she's not allowed to get engaged or married until 2026. I was completely bewildered. Libby had apparently been calling aunts, uncles, and cousins, spinning a victim narrative that I was a tyrannical bridezilla policing her love life. Instead of engaging in a massive text war, I just took a clean screenshot of the text conversation Libby and I had after that September lunch, the one where I told her not to steal our spotlight, and sent it directly to the family members who questioned me. Once they saw the actual text chain and realized she had entirely fabricated the 2026 rule to make me look malicious, all of them apologized profusely. I immediately confronted Libby about the rumors she was spreading. True to form, she looked me right in the eye, told me they were all lying, and claimed she had never said anything of the sort. Then, during a recent family dinner, the underlying tension bubbled up again. We were all sitting around the table when my parents warmly asked Max and me if we were planning to start a family anytime soon. Max smiled, looked at me, and shared with the table that we were absolutely planning to start trying right after the big reception next month. The moment the words left his mouth, Libby looked over at John, caught his eye, and let out a knowing smug smirk before quietly going back to eating her food. It felt incredibly calculated, a silent acknowledgement of a secret she was holding over us. Well, that dinner was 3 months ago. 2 months ago, the entire family dynamic shifted when Libby found out she might have cancer. It was a terrifying prospect, and despite all of our past grievances, my family and I completely dropped everything to focus entirely on her. We attended appointments, checked in constantly, and put all wedding talk on total pause to support her through the health scare. After weeks of intense anxiety, the final test results came back. Turns out, it was not cancer. We were all incredibly relieved. But almost immediately after receiving the all-clear, Libby shifted the narrative, announcing to the family that she and John were now actively trying to get pregnant. Now, you have to understand that my family is super religious. They are traditional to a fault and will not be happy or celebrate a pregnancy until you are legally married if it can at all be helped. Because of this strict family dynamic, I figured she would at least wait until she was officially engaged to John, and I assumed a proposal was happening soon to cover the bases. Well, today, I found out completely by accident that Libby is already 8 weeks pregnant. Not only that, but she is actively planning to secretly announce something major right in the middle of our upcoming wedding reception. No one in the family knows about this yet except for about 3 people who managed to keep the secret until it accidentally leaked to me. I am sick to my stomach. She has taken so much from my life, constantly hijacking my moments, and now she is planning to use the expensive party Max and I are throwing to stage her own grand reveal. I have no idea if she is planning to announce the pregnancy itself or if she and John are going to stage an engagement, but either way, she is fully intending to make our celebration entirely about her. To add absolute insult to injury, the source told me she has already informed her inner circle that if the baby is a boy, she plans on using the exact baby name that Max and I have had picked out and openly talked about for the past 3 years. I am at my absolute wit's end. I want to just uninvite her from the reception entirely and wash my hands of the stress, but logistically, I am not supposed to know about the pregnancy yet. If I uninvite her without a massive, explosive explanation, I don't really have a justifiable reason to give my deeply religious, family-oriented parents that won't make me look like the ultimate asshole for fracturing the family right before the party. I have already notified my maid of honor and my wedding planner, who happen to be my 2 best friends in the world. They are completely on my side and want to put together a tactical game plan to monitor her at the venue, cut off any rogue microphones, and avoid any major scenes. But what the fuck? I am not spending thousands of dollars of my own hard-earned money just to host a toxic family feud at our celebration of marriage. Update 1. Thank you everyone for the comments and feedback. So I honestly have been taking a few days to process everything because it just kept coming, and I am a week out from our big day. The day after finding out, I chatted with my wedding planner and MOH to set up fail-safes just in case she tried to pull something. They both have been in my life for so long and are super protective of me. Neither is a fan of my sister, and they told me that if I found out, they're sure others found out too. And they were right. I had 2 family members come forward a few days later and confess they knew and wanted to warn me. I chatted with my planner again, and she told me everything will be okay and to just trust her, that she's got my back. After talking to her, I did feel better. Fast forward to today. Libby called me sobbing. She let me know she was, in fact, pregnant, but that she miscarried. She said she does not know if she can even come anymore and that she's too upset to be around people. I told her that I would support whatever decision she made and, ultimately, she's staying home. During that call, I lost all anger, anxiety, and stress over the situation and just felt conflicted. I would never wish ill on someone who has had, is having, or had a miscarriage. That is a traumatic experience, and I'm grieving for her. On the other side, I feel horrible that I am relieved. I cannot explain every situation she put me through my entire life, but I never saw her as a mom. I know it sounds harsh, but I would never want another soul to endure what I did. I just wish none of this happened, and I honestly do not truly know how to comfort her. I told her to talk to my other sisters because they both have had miscarriages and could support her better. My mate thinks it's all a lie and that Libby is doing this to try and ruin my day, but I truly think it's all real and just want her to find peace in therapy. Update 2. I figured I would share what I hope is my last update. My wedding reception was this past weekend, and we had a blast. The whole night, we were surrounded by amazing friends and family. Libby and John got there late, and my tribe of besties helped us avoid them the whole time. She apparently recovered immediately and was in good spirits. The few people that actually knew about what happened were concerned because she wasn't grieving, more like she was plotting. How to describe it. The following is all secondhand because, like I said, we were focused on us, thank God. So Libby and John hit the bar pretty hard to start. I had a few childhood friends have heated conversations with Libby that I didn't find out about until the next day. Basically, Libby hasn't ever been the friendly one. There were several people we were friends with growing up. However, I was close to a lot of them, and they would avoid her like the plague. My parents never forced friendships because they felt that wasn't fair on anyone. One of my friends, Marie, was there with her new boyfriend. According to Marie, Libby started asking her questions about why she was at the reception. When Marie said that she had been invited, Libby said that she didn't understand why because, apparently, Marie and I are not friends. Which is 100% not true because Marie and I have always been relatively close. We don't see each other that much, but we do stay in touch and talk a lot on the phone. John apparently joined the conversation and said that he thought it was odd that a lot of Libby's friends were at our wedding. When Marie asked what he meant, he said it was his understanding that most of the family friends that were present were friends with Libby and not me. Marie laughed and said she's never been friends with Libby, turned to Libby, and told her that she needs to grow up. Basically, this style of conversation happened multiple times with several people, to the point where John and Libby ended up leaving halfway through everything. She even tried to get my best friends, including my MOH and planner, to come sit with her during certain wedding functions that they were participating in. My MOH kept asking her to repeat herself because clearly she wasn't hearing her correctly. Someone asked Libby if she was trying to ruin my big day. At that point, my family stepped in and asked Libby to leave. Most of the extended family knew about the miscarriage and thought all of her behavior was super weird. I've had a lot of people message me about random things that she did or said, and they all apologized to me, saying they hoped she didn't ruin my day. She didn't. As of current, she's going to be uninvited from Thanksgiving and possibly Christmas, which has blown up into a whole ordeal. Apparently, John planned to propose to Libby at our Thanksgiving. My dad no longer thinks that the miscarriage was real due to how she was behaving at the reception. There are a lot of things that happened that I won't list here, but I'm just thankful that there was security, local PD on site. Libby has gone crazy. The last little bit was that we had, in our thank you speech to all the guests, talked about starting a family one day and maybe being blessed with a little boy's name or girl's name. I swear, I thought Libby's eyes were gonna pop out and steam would come out of her ears. We think this is the moment that caused her to start the aggressive conversations that led to her leaving early. John has messaged me since then saying that I purposely campaigned with everyone to make Libby feel bad about herself. I haven't responded, and Max and I have decided to go no contact. My whole family is supporting us, so it's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Either way, just happy it's over with and that we had a blast. Here's to a new chapter with my favorite human. Thank you all for being supportive and understanding. It's been great feeling validated during this time.